Hi guys, continuing on with the next section. So we are now moving on into talking about the modern periodic table. We talked about Dmitry Mendeleev and his design for the periodic table, but now we're looking at what information is found in the modern periodic table because there have been some new discoveries that have been made. Before you understand more about the information in the periodic table, you have to understand some things about the parts of an atom or the structure of an atom. So, there are three main parts of an atom. There are protons, neutrons, and electrons. And if you look here at the bottom of your page, as I scroll down here, if I can get it to cooperate, at the bottom of your page, it's kind of showing you what an atom would look like. What you need to do in here is look in the reading at this portion and fill out one thing or characteristic about each of these parts of an atom. And I'll kind of talk you through some things that you could write in. I don't really have a pen that I can hook up to my computer to write in the answers, so I'm just going to have to talk you through them. So the first thing we have here, if we look, is the nucleus of an atom. The nucleus of the atom is just the center portion. So something that I would say that would be important for it is that it is the center of an atom and that it contains both the protons and neutrons. The next thing we have here are protons. Protons are positively charged, and the number of these determines what we call the atomic number, which is very important when we're starting to understand more about the periodic table. So the protons give you the atomic number for the periodic table. The other portion here that's also in the nucleus of the atom are neutrons. They have no charge. Protons and neutrons have about the same atomic mass, and they make up most of the mass of an atom. So the protons and neutrons together make up the atomic mass. Neutrons do not have a charge, but different elements, and actually even the same element, can have different numbers of neutrons occasionally. And that is known as an isotope, which we'll talk about a little bit later if we have time. The next thing here are electrons. You notice there's just this cloud here around the outside of the atom. That is actually representing the electrons. They actually kind of work around the outside of the atom in kind of a cloud formation. And that's what they're understanding about that. Electrons have a negative charge, and the number of protons and electrons is typically equal. So you might want to just put that electrons have a negative charge. The next thing it says, what do you know about two atoms if their atomic numbers are different? Then they have different numbers of this part of an atom. And you just need to figure out what part of an atom that would be. Moving on to the next section, when we're looking at a periodic table, there are some things that you need to be familiar with. Okay, in this textbook, it's going to have the atomic number, the chemical symbol, name, and atomic mass. When you're working on that adopt an element assignment that you have for week 3, it'll be helpful for you to understand the difference of these between these things. So here we have the chemical symbol, the element name, we have the atomic mass, and the atomic number. If you notice here, potassium actually has a different symbol than its name. And a lot of times we'll see that in elements because their names and their symbols may have come from a Greek or Latin source. So, for example, lead, actually, its symbol is Pb. So there's different ways you can use to kind of help you to remember those, but just be aware that different elements, their symbols may not be the same letter as the actual first letters of the name of the element. So on this one, you need to figure out what the atomic number is of silicon, which would be located where I'm pointing here. And on this thing, it says, do you think any other element has the same atomic number as silicon, and explain why? So think about what you just read on the page before, and think about those types of important bits of information as well.